Please read us a story, old bear. We'll all gather round. Dear old bear, sit in your favorite chair. We'll sit all around, dear old bear.
Little Bear and Ruff were lying in a heap on Ruff's special cushion. "Can you keep still, Ruff?" said Little Bear. "I'm trying to look at this book, and your nose keeps twitching."
"I'm sorry, Little Bear," said Ruff, "but sometimes my nose gets excited. At the moment, it can smell something rather nice."
"What can it smell?" asked Little Bear.
"Well, that's the funny thing," replied Ruff, sniffing the air. "I don't think my nose knows."
Little Bear was now more interested in the mysterious smell than in his book. "Shall I help you find the smell?" he asked. But Ruff was too busy to answer. He jumped up from the cushion and sniffed his way around the room. First in zigzags, then round and round in circles. He stopped when he came to the door.
"I think it's this way,"
He barked and he trotted out of the room. Little Bear hurried after him. "Slow down, Ruff," he called. "Wait for me."
"I'm afraid I can't," said Ruff. "I'm following my smell."
And he bounded on up to the landing. Little Bear scrambled after him and at last reached the very top stair. He was just in time to see Ruff disappearing through the bathroom door. "I'm coming too," called Little Bear as he ran after him. When Little Bear did catch up with Ruff, he was staring at the sink.
I think my smell is coming from up there,"
he said. "I'll go and see if you like," said Little Bear. "Perhaps Sailor is having a bubble bath." He climbed up to have a look, but before he could reach the top, Sailor popped his head over the side. He didn't look as though he'd just had a bath. In fact, he looked as if he needed one. He was covered in paint. "Ahoy there!" he called, waving his paintbrush and sending a shower of painty drips over Ruff's head. "Have you come to help me paint my boat?" "Well, not exactly," began Little Bear, but before he could explain, he heard Ruff calling.
"You can come down now, Little Bear. It's not paint I can smell. It's something much nicer."
Little Bear would have loved to help Sailor paint his boat, but instead he scrambled down to join Ruff.
"I don't think the smell is in the bathroom after all," said Ruff. "It must be somewhere else. Follow me."
They were just about to dash out of the bathroom when in marched Duck. He stopped so suddenly that the bar of soap he'd been carrying flew up into the air and landed at Little Bear's feet. "Where are you two going in such a hurry?" asked Duck. "We're trying to find something that smells nice," explained Little Bear. "We're following Ruff's nose." At that moment, Ruff's nose seemed to be busy with Duck's soap. Ruff chased the soap all over the floor, in and out of the drips of paint, and round in a big circle, right back to Little Bear. "When you've finished with my soap," grumbled Duck, "I'll go and have my bath."
"Sorry, Duck," said Ruff. "You can have it back now. It wasn't soap I could smell."
And barking to Little Bear to follow him, he hurried out of the door. Little Bear caught up with Ruff downstairs, sniffing at a gap under the door.
"This is a funny smell. It's down here, and it's here, and it's even up here," he added.
"Which must mean it's something pretty big," said Little Bear. Very slowly, they pushed open the door a tiny crack. "Be careful if you're coming in," said a strange, muffled voice. Little Bear and Ruff looked at each other. "I wonder what it is," said Little Bear. "It sounds quite fierce."
"You're small enough to fit through the gap," said Ruff. "Go and see."
Little Bear took a deep breath and squeezed through. He tiptoed into the room and peeked out from behind his paws to see Jolly Tall standing by the rocking chair with a duster in his mouth. "What are you doing?" asked Jolly, opening his mouth to speak and dropping the duster on top of Little Bear. "Why were you creeping about?" "I wasn't really creeping," said Little Bear, struggling to get out of the cloth. "I was just being careful in case you were a monster or something." "Goodness," laughed Jolly. "Why did you think I was a monster?" Little Bear was about to explain when Ruff, who couldn't wait any longer, burst in through the door, stepped in Jolly's polish, and skidded to a halt in front of the wriggling duster. "What have you done with Little Bear?" he barked. "No, it's me," squeaked Little Bear, managing at last to pull the cloth off his head. "Look, I am Little Bear. The monster was only Jolly polishing." He held the cloth out for Ruff to sniff. "Is this your smell?" he asked. Ruff sniffed. "I'm afraid not," he said. "It's a nice smell, but it's not the right smell." Ruff and Little Bear left Jolly to finish his polishing and went back into the hall. Ruff sat down and sniffed the air. "We're getting close," he said. "Can you smell it, Little Bear?" "I can't smell anything," said Little Bear. "Perhaps my nose is too small." "Well, we'll just have to follow my nose then," said Ruff. "Come on, this way." Soon they arrived at the sofa, and with one bound, Ruff leaped straight up and onto Bramwell's lap. "Careful, Ruff," said Bramwell. "You've made me drop my orange." Little Bear and Ruff scrambled after the half-peeled orange. "I can see it," said Little Bear, wriggling under the sofa, "and I can just reach it." He came out backwards and held up the orange triumphantly. "Here you are, Bramwell," he said. "I'm sorry Ruff is so bouncy, but he's been looking everywhere for this." "Do have some," said Bramwell. "I was going to share it with everyone when I'd peeled it." Little Bear looked around for Ruff to give him some orange, but he was already sniffing his way across the room towards the window. "It wasn't an orangey smell. I think it was more a sort of yellowy smell," he said, gazing up to where Rabbit was arranging flowers on the windowsill. "These daffodils won't stand up straight," grumbled Rabbit. "They keep trying to escape from the vase." And as if to prove him right, a daffodil tumbled off the windowsill and landed on the end of Ruff's nose. Ruff sniffed. "It's a lovely smell," he said, but it's not the smell I'm looking for. "I think my smell is coming from the kitchen," he called as he bounded off again. "Oh dear," said Little Bear, who was beginning to wonder whether there really was a special smell after all. "I don't think Ruff's nose knows what it can smell." "Well, I can smell something now," said Bramwell. "Something delicious. Perhaps Ruff has found what he's been looking for." They pushed open the door just as Old Bear was taking a tray out of the oven. Something smelt wonderful. "Hello, everyone," said Old Bear. "You must try some of my freshly baked bread. I'm surprised you weren't waiting for it." "We would have been," said Little Bear, gazing hungrily at the little rolls. "But Ruff's nose rather led us astray, didn't it, Ruff?" But Ruff didn't answer. He dashed past the toys to a heap of old newspapers and took a long, deep sniff. "Ah," he said, "this smells lovely." "But that's just a pile of garbage," said Old Bear. "I was about to throw it out." Ruff wasn't listening. He dived into the pile, scrabbled about, and came out with his tail wagging. "This isn't garbage," he said, dropping something at Old Bear's feet. "This is my long-lost, chewiest, most favorite rubber bone. And," he added proudly, "my nose told me just where to look." "At last," laughed Little Bear.